Starting to build my 53-man roster today on Night of the Shield. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Night of the Shield. I'm Jason Smith, a.k.a. The Knight, and today we are going to start the process of building out my projected 53-man roster. But before we get started, I want to thank everybody who watched the last episode. It did really well, so thank you for all the new subscribers. Thank you for everybody that commented. It really means a lot that this channel is slowly but surely just kind of breathing new life. So for all my returning subscribers that are still stuck around and getting the notifications, I love you guys. Welcome back. To all you new ones, I look forward to getting to know you more and building out this community. All right, before we get started too, I want to remind everybody that this is brought to you by Independently Blind Studios. It's my other project that I work on. I am a visually impaired individual, so I aim to educate, advocate, motivate, and inspire other people dealing with sight loss to be encouraged and live their best independent life. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's news. Today's news date is going to be August 23rd, 2023. All right, here we go. Start things off. I've seen a lot of people talking about the Brock Purdy rule, and most people have got it right, I believe. And then there's been a few that I think have been a little bit confused in what's happening here. So the Brock Purdy rule does not affect your 53-man roster in a positive way. It's still a 53-man roster. That's why all the reports that you're reading are still saying 53. Now, what it does affect is your game day roster of 46. That basically becomes 47, with that 47th one being the emergency quarterback. So you could have all three quarterbacks dress out, and you still have your 46-man of all the other players. So that third option at quarterback does not affect the 46. It essentially becomes the 47th member dressed up. That's the Brock Purdy rule. So we're still dealing with a 53-man roster. And I just wanted to put that out there. Now, like I said, there's not a lot. I just know if there's some misinformation out there, I wanted to kind of put a different spin on it just to say, remember, there's a 53 and a 46. Your 53-man roster is your total roster. 46 is your game day roster. That's where you add that extra third quarterback that will not count against you on your game day roster. So any questions or if that's not understood either, you could go ahead and ask the question down in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer it in a more clear way. But just remember, 53 is your total roster, 46 is your game day, which you actually suit up, and then you get that 47th now as you deal with the third option quarterback being able to dress up without going against your 46-man game day roster. Makes sense to me, so I hope it makes sense to you. Now, moving forward, Jonathan Taylor is given permission to seek a trade. This affects the Raiders. Why, you may ask? Because this is something that Josh Jacobs and his camp is going to keep an eye on. Jonathan Taylor, known to be one of the best premier backs in the league. He's dealt with a lot of injuries too. He's only set to make $4.3 million this year. He sees everything that's going on with the running backs. He's also decided to hold out of camp. Him and Irsay have been going back and forth through social media, in person. There's been a lot of crazy reports, and I just want to throw this in as a little extra bonus. So everybody that's running around still giving Josh McDaniels a bunch of crap about not taking the Indy job, this is why. The way that this owner acts, man, I mean, his wife saw something, pulled the plug, and said, we ain't doing this. So if that's not enough information for you, then I do apologize. It's probably a reason why Andrew Luck retired early too, just assuming. All right. But anyway, there's this big old thing going on between them. He's now given him permission to seek a trade. And I think one of the reasons he did this is because he knows that there's not a large trade market, because this is more than about Jonathan getting his money, because he's going to go find out what teams are willing to truly pay right now, which is not a whole lot, right? And I can't sit here and tell you what Taylor's worth is going to be, but I know it's going to be probably no higher than what Saquon Barkley got. I don't see him getting much more than that, because if that was the case, somebody would have already attempted to go after Jacobs. Now, you might ask, well, I mean, maybe they just don't want to pay the 2 first-round pick price. You're exactly right. That is a possibility, right? Nobody's gone after Jacobs because they don't want to give the Raiders 2 first-round picks. So what would the Colts be asking for if someone was to come and say, okay, we'll give you $13-14 million, Taylor, and then you have to go to the Colts and like, what do you want? Well, we're probably going to want either the 2, you're going to at least want one first-round pick out of it. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody's willing to pay that price twice, basically give up draft capital, a lot of draft capital, or even pay him what he's seeking. And I don't, to be quite honest, I don't know exactly what he's seeking, but I think Josh would be okay as far as if he does what we talked about yesterday, which kind of targets that between $11 and $12 million range on a 1-year deal to kind of help him out. I mean, I know it's not exactly what he wants, but it's more money to play this year. It's more than Saquon Barkley, and we just got to let it ride out. But now I think they're going to let some of this smoke for Taylor kind of calm down to give him a better direction on what he needs to do moving forward. All right, let's go ahead and get into my 53-man roster. I'm going to start with the running back since we're on that topic. Now, Josh Jacobs is not part of that 53-man roster yet. He has been offered a franchise tag. It's worth $10.9, I think it is, $million, or $10.1 million, somewhere around there. $10 million is what we average it out to be. But he has not signed it yet, so he is not part of this football team. Now, the money is there. It's on our cap because we're saving it for when he does. But that decision has not been made to move on from Jacobs. I don't see us moving on from Jacobs. I talked about that yesterday. So until Josh makes that decision, they can add his spot to somebody else. And I believe we're going to run about 5 backs. That's including Jacob Johnson, the fullback. So you got Johnson, the fullback. You're going to run Zeus. Zeus is going to be your bull, your Brahma bull that's going to wear down defensive lines. You're going to keep Amir backing him up and getting a lot of carries because he's going to be the back that's catching the ball out of the backfield, doing kick returns. He's like a Swiss Army knife for us, so he's definitely going to be on the squad. Then obviously that's going to be rounded up with Sincere McCormick. Now he'll be the odd man out if Jacob signs that contract, in my opinion. I know we have Britton Brown with that, but without seeing a lot of action from him, I think they go ahead and roll with McCormick. And then you got Brandon Bolden, who once again makes this roster. Now, there's a couple of caveats to this, right? We saw what Brandon Bolden did, against the Rams. He came in, had a good run. He could still see the field. He can get the job done. And I want to put a little asterisk with this too, right? Because I was talking about Brandon Bolden yesterday and his ability to make a living as a running back, especially in this offense. And I want to highlight that again as we talk about the running backs today, because this is something I just want everybody to focus on, that this could be Jacob's job in the future. Not saying that he would want it or they would want it, but it just shows you that the Josh McDaniels run scheme can give you some longevity, right? You get a run with the fullback. The designs are pretty straightforward. Jacobs is elusive. And as long as he doesn't run him 393 times a year, the longevity of him being able to be a part of this offense, be productive, and continue to make money longer than most running backs get the opportunity in this league is something I would personally think about. Just wanted to throw that out there. Brandon Bolden will be serviceable if needed. We didn't use him a lot last year, and we'll see if we have to use him more than not this year. It's a waiting game, but I see that being the 5 running backs that we keep. Now, once again, the minute Josh Jacobs signs that franchise tag, then we have to make a roster move, and you just release McCormick, hoping that he can land on the practice squad later, and you plug Jacobs in, and the whole thing shifts, right? Now you have what we had last year, exactly what we had last year, and it seemed to work for us very, very well, and that will propel this offense to the next level. So that is what I'm hoping for. But that is the running backs. I have 5 there, so we're going to be keeping track. So make sure you mark down 5 down for the running backs. We're going to go ahead and jump in the quarterbacks. I'm going to go ahead and do the quarterbacks today as well, simply because, we pretty much know, right? There's some reports saying that we may only keep 2. I don't believe so. I think we do keep 3 because I think we kept 3 last year. It wasn't that big of a deal. They kind of went back and forth on keeping 2 to 3, and it was just kind of all over the place. But I think that least for starters, you keep all three. Hoyer may have not looked great against the Rams, but what Hoyer brings upstairs, the knowledge that he has of this offense, helping with setting up the game plan for the week, helping with adjustments on the sidelines during games, and being there for just knowledge, just for Jimmy G to bounce some things off of and to really put Aiden under his wing and just kind of really show him the ropes and be a support system for both those guys is just going to make this team stronger and make these guys grow faster. Now, Jimmy has the shorter end of the stick as far as learning curve because, I mean, he's played in this offense before. He's played in the league. Very smart guy. He will pick up on things very quickly. Aiden's just a rookie. So, once again, I still keep hearing reports for some people, right, that they think that Aiden could start. And the answer is absolutely not. Absolutely not. This kid has a ton to learn. We've talked about it several times already in the past week, so I'm not going to spend too much time explaining why I said that. Check out some of the other pods. Let me know what you guys think about my take on Aiden OConnell, but simply, I think he'd be a premier number 2. However, I don't want it pushed too fast. So hopefully Jimmy G can stay healthy anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks before anything happens. So Aiden has that much more time putting game plans together, sideline adjustments, et cetera, learning the offense, and then just let his skill set, which is insane for a rookie, his foot control, the way the ball comes off his hand, his accuracy, throwing with anticipation, it pops right out. I mean, I can't wait to see this guy take the next step, but he's not ready to be our starter. So there's your quarterbacks, right? You got Jimmy G. You got Aiden OConnell, I believe will be our number 2 quarterback. And then you got Hoyer. Now, Brian Hoyer, to me, may be serviceable if anything happens early on to Jimmy. I may be wrong. It's more what I think should happen versus what maybe Josh has in mind. That's between McDaniels, his coaching staff, and these quarterbacks. But I think throwing him too early, unless Jimmy G gets really hurt and you think you don't have a chance this year and you want to throw him in there, see what the kid's got, cool. But, until we really know what's happening, either with Jimmy G or in the season and all the other talent we have, because this is bigger than the quarterback, all right? When we start really building that defense, that's where we'll start having a lot more conversation about where our season can go as we start to build the momentum to head down, because I still want to break down the first quarter of our season. Those first 4 games are key, but got to build out the roster, got to see what we're looking at before I start guesstimating, because there's really nothing solid to go on. All I know for a fact is I know what the running back room is going to look like. I know what the quarterback room is going to. I'm pretty confident in both those. That's why I thought I'd start here. Those 3 quarterbacks will be on the roster. Those 5 backs, with the question mark being on McCormick, because if Josh signs, he's the odd guy out. Now, the Raiders could try to open up another spot on the offensive line or in the receiver side of things for the offense and actually let Brandon Bolden go. But I personally don't think they're going to do that. Not just yet. I think they'll try to ride him out one more year. I do believe the writing's kind of on the wall. As they start to develop some of these younger players, then he'll be not as serviceable as he is now. But especially with Josh Jacobs not being on the roster, I think Brandon Bolden is definitely serviceable as a last option or a nice piece to put in there in certain situations to make a play happen. He did last year a few times. I feel like he's going to be used the same way. So that's what I got. 3 quarterbacks, 5 in our running back room. That's a total of 8. Okay, so tomorrow I think we'll start on the offensive line. That's going to be another tricky one. So I thought I'd hammer that one out. So we'll spend a little bit of time talking about the offensive line and seeing where we're at. For the most part, it's kind of straight up. That right side, though, is like a revolving door that hasn't stopped revolving yet. So we'll figure out where it lands. But I think we have a decent understanding of where that thing's going to stop. So anyway, you know what? I know that this episode's probably not going to wow you. You're probably going to listen to it and be like, man, that's easy. That's a no-brainer. That wasn't hard. It's not, but it's part of the process. You have to talk about it. You got to put it out there. This is for me to document. and keep myself accountable for what I've already said. So when I look back, I could see where I was wrong, and then I could figure out, well, wow, how did I miss that? What was I thinking? But I'm pretty confident in that scenario. 5 backs, 3 quarterbacks, the 1 question mark once Josh signs. I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, I may be wrong. Crazier things have happened. You know what I mean? Like maybe Bolden steps down and McCormick gets that spot, but I highly doubt it. I know Amir will be here because he's serviceable in special teams. So, we'll just let it all play out. Anyways, guys, thank you for all your support. Continue to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and the notification bell. Use the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts. Who is in your running back room? All right, the quarterback one, I mean, you want to take a shot at it? I mean, maybe some of you are going to tell me Aiden should be starting, and that's your opinion. I just don't think he's ready. And then some of you may think that he shouldn't even be our second. I do believe he deserves the second spot. I just don't want him to be pushed too soon, but I'm not going to lie. There's that part of me that just wants to see this kid take the next step sooner rather than later. We could really use a little bit of, you know what I mean? A little bit more positivity around the Raider Nation sometimes, that's just saying. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will see you guys tomorrow when I break down the offensive line. Till then, stay Raider strong. Night out.